Here's a presentation. Um, it's about the student centers in college campuses. And so, uh, while performing the experiment, um, I decided to observe the students at the student center and just watch their activities and make different tiers of what they were doing. So I made a tier about um, like how many students were studying, how many were socializing, and then I made a third tier of students doing any other activities. For example, just walking by and going to buy coffee or snacks, or just walking by to this bookstore, or just sitting down and reading, or doing just anything else. The way I organize myself to do the do the experiment is by it's by I had to figure out what days the students had were like reuniting more regularly, and so what I was doing is from Monday through through Thursday, from Monday through Thursday, I was spending one at least 1 hour from 11 to 12, and just observing how many like the number of students that were there, and then putting them in their different groups based on the tiers. And yeah, here's part of the introduction. If you guys want to pause it, here's more of it. Yeah. Well, um, I did find out about on the results of the experiment that more students were uh, studying, but it was based on different days, because uh, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday the the days where like more students were studying, and there were less that were just like um, just passing by, or socializing, and it would just change every now and then. And on Thursdays there wasn't any students that were studying at all. There were barely like a few of them. There were mostly on Thursdays. There were students that were just walking by just to get coffee, or just at the bookstore, or reading, and just anything else. Um, but yeah, based on the sources that I was based on the sources that I did research on, the student centers were built, and they were they're like this plan by the planned by the colleges, um, in which they make the student centers a place where anyone can go and like just feel part of the student community, and just feel free to do any activity that they want to, either studying or socializing, anything. And part of my experiment was to explain also why they don't go to the library instead. And um, from from the information that I found on the sources, these students were well, many students feel more comfortable, and they feel more approachable just to go to the student center and study there. And it was also mentioned that some uh, some students can feel uncomfortable, or um, just not feeling the same attention that they have at the classrooms. So I think, so based on the research, people find that it's more. likely that students have better attention and be more focused on student centers than classrooms, which is not a bad thing or either good, but it's just way more comfortable for students. And here you have some experimental design on how like I organize my data. I also had to take notes about it. Um, and yeah, there were groups of students that were studying and socializing at the same time, so it wasn't too complicated, and so I just put them on the students studying tier. And yes, here's more experimental setup, data collection. And now here is the here's the graph. On the graph, it shows down here the dates. There you go. On the bottom, it shows the dates, and on the left side, it shows the number of students. And from the results that I did on the graph, the number of degrees of freedom were 17. The p-value was 0.9629, and there's the test statistics. So yeah, on based on the results, the average students were mainly on the students that were studying, because it was more regular to see students doing more educational activities than any other. But like there were some days where I would see more socializing or just more doing um, just there reading or like just talking, hanging out, just drinking coffee or having lunch together. And yeah, many other students would just walk back to the bookstore and then just walk out. Others just walk in the into the Starbucks store in there, or just get drinks or snack. But yeah, it was the numbers were sometimes random. The groups of students were random every now and then. And here's some of the discussion. Yeah. On the discussion, I talked about how these student centers were. It was mainly like a it was more like a social experiment than anything else. Since many of us have necessities that we need to work on. Sometimes, I mean, there are students that like just go ahead and go to the library, or they stay at their dorms or anything. They used to study like anywhere else. But I think on what I wrote is that those who go to the student center to mainly study, um, maybe it's because it's more comfortable for study groups to be there and feel more freedom in that space. And I think these buildings were also designed to have like anyone welcoming and just feel just free to sit down anywhere and just do your activities, whatever you need to work on. Here are the sources that I found. Most of these sources were from the colleges, some from universities that had student centers, and they would just talk about um, the positive impact that it made on the student community. And then here's more of my data. So yeah, the day I started was the September 25th, and it goes all, and yeah, they were on the same time, and it goes all the way through October 23rd. And yeah, so here are the tiers. This is the number of students in the building, number of students socializing, number of students studying, and just the number of students doing other activities. And here's the how I like divided. I first counted the all the like the total number of people in there, and then I divided them based on what I my observation was. And here are my results of the averages. And here's the standard deviation. And for last is the standard error. Well, yeah, there you got it. So yeah, in conclusion, there were more students that studied at the student center, but afterwards, I realized that there was an explanation needed on why would they use, like, first of all, why is the student center like so important for us that we are like that. I feel like it just brings many social impacts and in the student life, and it's more of like a social necessity than educational though. But yeah, anyway, student centers have made a positive impact in the educational area. Uh, Based on the sources, they all feel like the student communities feel very comfortable having these buildings made for them and be like it's just like a safe area for everyone just to like do anything they want, just any group or just if you, even if it's just one person just going there and studying. It's just a free area. It's like it's just a comfortable space for everyone. And yes, it's yeah, I think it was important for students to know why these buildings are made, or why do we feel the necessity of going there and hang out, study, or anything. Um, it was it was very um, surprising to see the deeper impact in the in the purpose of why they are student centers are at colleges. And yep, that is my conclusion.